This is your host, Joubert Caston. And in this video, I'm going to talk about why my little family decided to up and leave the Bay Area and relocate to Eldorado Hills, California. It was absolutely a no brainer once we embarked on this area. So the story goes, my partner has a sister that lives in Granite Bay. Being from Marin County my whole life, I feel like I was just blessed with one of the best areas in Northern California to live in, from the green trees, ocean access, hiking trails, and just the people that surrounded our communities. I felt like Marin was just one of those perfect towns. However, as I got older and started wanting to purchase a home, or raise a family, I realized that it was definitely overpriced for my personal budget. My partner has a sister that lived in Granite or that lives in Granite Bay, California. So we used to go over, and we still do go over to her house quite a bit. When going out to Granite Bay, the first time I realized that Granite Bay was actually a part of that greater Sacramento area, which I've never been through, but I had expectations going into it that were completely false. I think those expectations were driven because back when I was a kid, my grandma used to take us on the Amtrak train from Emeryville, and we used to go to Old Town Sacramento. And I think just from remembering how Old Town Sacramento was, I just assumed the greater area was all like this. In my head, I pictured no trees, completely flat, and nothing to what I end up finding out that it was. And I know that might be so silly of me, but I just didn't know any better. We started going to Granite Bay. I realized from the very first sight of this town that it was just love at first sight. And I know this video is about Eldorado Hills, but it all started with our visit in Granite Bay. And Granite Bay really exposed us to this greater Placer County area. And if you know the surrounding areas, Placer County, Eldorado County, and Sacramento County all kind of connect some way or another. So coming out here, we were able to have the privilege to be able to explore the area more. And I was in absolute awe on how wrong my expectations were and how I had it pictured and visioned. So when going into house searching, mind you, been raised in the Bay Area my whole life, absolutely love the Bay Area, but realize that this greater Sacramento, Placer County, and Eldorado County area is really awesome. You have so much stuff you could do here. You could go on different walks, hikes. You're an hour and 20 minutes away from Tahoe. You have river access, lake access, anything that you can imagine that you would want to do, you could do out here. And there's literally something to do north, east, south, or west. You cannot go wrong. So when going to look for a place and looking for where potentially the next spot to relocate was, it was a no-brainer that it was this area. Just to put things in perspective, living in the greater Sacramento area is almost beyond half the cost of living in the Bay Area. And that was one of the main reasons why we knew we were getting priced out of the Bay Area, but in deciding on where we were going to locate, we knew that it was an absolute no-brainer that it was going to be this area. So we go and search for houses with our budget. We looked in the Roseville areas. We looked in some parts of Granite Bay, and our very last option came because of my partner's sister. Actually, she reached out and she showed us this house that was in Eldorado Hills. And we never decided to look in Eldorado Hills because we just figured and assumed that it was way out of our budget until we got a really good deal and opportunity to, at the end of the day, purchase the house that we now live in. So going through the process of looking at the house and seeing if we wanted to be in the area, we literally took a whole day out and spent nothing but solid time in Eldorado Hills. And from the very first day, we absolutely fell in love with it. Number one, the people. The people here are absolutely incredible. It's almost like they're absurdly nice. Like everybody, it just feels like, as compared to the Bay Area, and no knock on the Bay Area, but it just seems like there's a greater quality of life that people appreciate here. And if that means anything to you guys, like going out, being able to have a conversation, is whether you like to go to bars, whether you like to go on walks, people actually stop and talk to you here. People have a smile on their face. people really don't complain. Not that I've heard so far. And if they do, it's not like we really care anyway. But it's just a whole different type of vibe. It just feels like people's quality of life is a lot greater here. It feels like people are just happier. Another thing about Eldorado Hills, when we spent our whole day is in this town, I didn't see one single homeless person. You know, with that being said, nothing against homeless people at all, but where there's homeless people, there's usually more dirtier streets, more crowded streets. Everything is clean here. And that's just one thing that stood out to us. Being that we have a 1-year-old, we were really, what really was important to us actually was schools. So going to look for houses around our budget, we were quite curious to how we can pick the right neighborhood and then at the end of the day be in the right community with the best schools. When you get into this El Dorado County area, whether you decide to live in El Dorado Hills or the Cameron Parks, the schools are absolutely incredible here. If you go by the schools and you tour them, they're absolutely clean. They're magnificent. And El Dorado Hills, which is really cool about our neighborhood, is that the schools are bunched up. So the kids go from elementary school, they usually transition to middle school together, then they go right across the street to Oak Ridge High School. And it seems like everybody just stays together. Another thing that stood out to us when we came here and spent the day here was kids were out riding bikes. They seemed to have some sense of normalcy from the way that I came up. It seemed very rare to see that in the Bay Area, unless you saw those couple kids on those electrical scooters, but it just seemed so different. And when you get into El Dorado Hills and you embrace the community, especially if you talk to some of your seasoned vets here and they let you in on the history of this place, what it's grown to. Some of them like it, some of them absolutely really don't because they don't like to see the expansion of it. However, you can see the pride that they have in this area and how much they just appreciate it. And that just kind of trickles down to the others who tend to move out this way too. I can tell you one thing about our neighborhood. We live in the neighborhood of Governor's Village. There's a lot of younger families. Younger families our age was very important to us when it came to selecting a community that we wanted to live in, because we wanted to have people like us that we can start hanging with and building kind of like our friend circle here. And El Dorado Hills did just that. So I guess what I'm saying at the end of the day, if you're looking to relocate and you're coming from the Bay Area or you're coming from somewhere else and you've been looking at the greater Sacramento area, El Dorado Hills is definitely an area that you do not want to miss. And if you need any help, you have any questions, feel free to reach out anytime. My contacts will be located at the end of this video. Stay tuned. Most importantly, like, subscribe, comment, give me some feedback. I'm trying to grow my channel and I'm trying to do everything I can to get better and give you guys the most value that I can. So hope you guys have a blessed day. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you next show.